But we do have vVvTime spawning as the blue Protoss player versus Suppy spawning as the red Zerg, and hopefully I can get a pause in time. Oh, there it was.
Looks like time's way ahead of you.
Wow, thank you. Alright, and here we go. We have Suppy spawning as the red Zerg player at the 3 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Time spawning as the blue Protoss at the 12 o'clock position on MLG Metalopolis. One of the things to make a note of, you cannot have an ally spawn on this map. So you can only do a cross spawn either by air or a full cross spawn. And it looks like Suppy will quickly find out that it's going to be a close air spawn here.
Yeah, I imagine Time will find that out as well. Protoss have gotten in the habit, Terran as well, of sending that probe down to the bottom right just to scout for that Overlord. There's a little bit of a mind game going on. When do you pull off that Overlord to try to keep from getting seen by that probe? But both players will know exactly where the other is momentarily here, as Time just placing the pylon, first one on the inside of the base. So he's not going to go for any sort of fast low ground expansion. May just go for a pretty standard 3-8 expand here. Been relatively popular against Zerg recently.
Yeah, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore, as we're going for an assimilator first. So assimilator first definitely means we are going for a tech route of a game. No gateway just quite yet, as the Overlord now starting to make the trip over. He is going to be able to spot that pylon there. vVvTime does see the Overlord, and now the probe will be able to head up that ramp. We are going into extractor pool as well, so Suppy not going for a fast expansion. And with now Time currently having 2 probes on gas, what do you make of this build?
Well, it looks like he's going for a Forge first, so it's going to be a pretty interesting play. He may be going for some fast air, trying to take advantage of the lack of anti-air for Zerg at the very start. So he wants to be safe with that Forge. If he is not able to do too much damage with any sort of early air or early pressure, he can very safely expand using cannons. As we do see him add that gateway. He has yet to add a second pylon, so throwing up a lot of buildings here, not really chrono boosting out any probes. He's just saving all that chrono boost for whatever tech he does choose to go for. And Suppy does see that the gas is already going. He did make it in a little bit late with that Overlord though, so he doesn't know whether this is normal gas timing, and he doesn't know how long this has been up for time.
Yeah, one of the things that a Zerg player can do, I don't know if he actually clicked on the assimilator, he can see how much gas has been mined and how much gas is remaining, and if he has calculated that or has seen that, he may be a little bit suspicious. He also sees the amount of energy that is on that Nexus, which is nearing maximum, and I am absolutely confused at what's going to be happening. Perhaps Time trying to start chrono boosting that Forge, trying to chrono boost that tech would be very, very a smart decision as well, letting those Zealots two-shot any of those Zerglings.
Yeah, this might be a really interesting timing here from Time. He has yet to add, well, there's the cybernetics score, so it won't be any sort of 2-gate play, but he will have this very fast +1. Now that +1's going to finish before his warp gate tech is finished as well, unless he does a lot of chronoing on it. But it looks like he will be getting a lot of Zealots out of this one gateway. He has yet to throw down a second one, just continuing probe production. He wants to save a little bit of money for Zealots and the warp gate tech once that cybernetics core does come up. But it looks like it's going to be a fast +1 timing attack here from Time.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes for him. We'll see if we get any chrono boost as well, as a Zealot now making its way out. Not quite sure why the second Zealot was chrono boosted, as another Zealot also getting chrono boosted. So he's trying to save up the gas as he is now going into the Stargate. He has used 2 chrono boosts on the gateway itself to try to get those Zealots out much more quickly. I think it might have been better for the Forge to actually get that chrono boost, as the one Zealot will have a very difficult time, and now trying to do a little bit of push there as a probe now makes its way down to the low ground.
Well, it looks like he's just trying to focus units out of the one gateway he has right now, so I like the chrono on the gateway, using his probe there to try to block off, but it looks like Suppy's going to be able to get in there. He will see the Stargate, and he's basically going to get all the information he needs. A photon cannon going down in the mineral line of Time. Not really sure if that's necessary. He will be able to block off his ramp and his choke point here with Zealots as he sends a few probes to try to take down these Zerglings. And now streaming across Zealots, his +1 has finished. We'll see if he makes anything out of that Stargate. Right now, nothing on the way. And here comes the first Void Ray.
Yeah, so it is going to be 1 Void Ray being chrono boosted out. He does have enough for 2 chrono boosts. That means it can come out in 40 seconds. if he is up on top of his macro. The probes just fighting back against the rest of those Zerglings. Those Zerglings shouldn't be able to deal any more damage now that the cannon is up. And now the Zealots making their way over, and they do have that level 1 weapons upgrade that we mentioned earlier. And if they just start fighting those Zerglings, you can see how effective that +1 actually is. You can see that the hatchery already down to 700 hit points there, and now going to go after the Queens. The Queens are going to get taken down, and that is going to be a problem, as well as the Zealots taking down the Queens as the before the Void Ray even gets in, and the Void Ray may have a free target on the hatchery.
Yeah, we have no more Queens, actually just one popping out here, so it looks like Time going to do his best to soften up these Queens. They're very low energy, so there won't be any transfuses coming, and now the Void Ray needs to target those Queens, the only anti-air right now for Suppy. He's going to focus down the low queen first, and the second queen's going to need to try to get down here to defend this expansion. Time taking all the free damage he can get at this point, focusing down this fast expansion, and he could take some free overlords and drone kills as well. We see another cannon coming for Time, trying to be protected here, and he's got a Zealot at the front door, going to be challenged by a lot of Zerglings.
Yeah, we can also see a Phoenix now making its way out. The Void Ray dealing 25 damage a second, gonna shut it down, the hatchery, before the Queen gets completed. And now with the Phoenix, who can actually Graviton Beam, the other Queen is gonna have another free and easy kill there. But the Zealots trying to hold off the Swarm. They moved out of position just a little bit as the Photon Cannon now completing, and Time looking in a very, very promising position.
Yeah, Time did have to cancel that Nexus and needs to keep the charge on this Void Ray. Does lose, and there are 2 Queens now, so I'm not sure that Void Ray is going to be able to take on those Queens. A lift of the Phoenix could help, but we also have 2 Spore Crawlers as well from Suppy. He has gotten up his Lair Tech. Hydralisk Den has finished, but he's been running off 1 gas for so long. He does have a little bit of bank gas, but off of 1 base, it's going to be very difficult to support Hydras. And Time getting up his own expansion at this point. An interesting start to this game from Time.
Yeah, this is not your standard build by any mean, and I think if Time went Overlord hunting, he would be able to easily take down all of these Overlords in the center portion. It looks like those Overlords are trying to pull back, as a second Void Ray now making its way out. The Phoenix taking a little bit of damage from those Queens as well, and now trying to hunt for Overlords.
And Time going to be adding some Gateways and a Twilight Council to this build as well, so opening up into more of a standard mid-game here. He's going to get his expansion up, he's going to get some gates up, possibly start creating a nice ground force to complement these Void Rays. He has gotten out the 2 Void Rays at this point, the 1 Phoenix, the Phoenix doing its best to search for free Overlords there. And we see Suppy coming out with a few Hydralisks, moving those to the low ground, along with Spore Crawlers. He really wants to be safe here, but Time doing a nice job with this Phoenix, gaining a lot of information. He sees the Hydras are out, and he knows that the Spore Crawlers have been moved to the bottom.
Yeah, there is still 1 Spore Crawler in the main base. There is still 1 Queen there as well. I believe the Queens can make it over and do a quick transfusion if needed, as we are now going into additional Warp Gate. So it is going to be 4 Gate with a Stargate. The Stargate hasn't been training anything for a little bit of time, as we are now going into Zealot legs. So Charge now being researched, and the Charge definitely going to help taking down those Hydralisks. The Hydralisk, the main counter, the main problem for those Void Rays. But I don't believe, do we have Groove Spines research? No Groove Spines either. So those Hydralisks only have a range of 5 and will not be able to outrange all of those Void Rays.
Time going to suffer a little bit of damage here as Zerglings are running in, getting a lot of information. He can see the probe count. If we check the income counting station, it is 38 harvesters to now 40 to 44. So Suppy a little bit ahead, but Time was able to get up that expansion and get it saturated a little bit earlier. And Suppy did lose that hatchery. If we check out the units lost tab, it is 1150 to 1600. So Time at this point up in upgrades, in tech, and Suppy really can't move out with this Hydralisk Ling Force because he does not have good creep spread, just now connecting his main and his natural with creep.
Yeah, so as the creep spread starts to just make its way out, this game felt like it was on pause for a little bit. Both players sacrificing a lot of the macro style of play for early aggression, and Time now moving out with a lot of Zealots, no Stalkers in this group. And as that charge is about to be completed, I think these Zealots are going to be able to just lead the way and just simply melt apart many of those Hydralisks. And I'm not quite sure how Suppy is going to respond to 1-0 upgraded Zealots with legs.
It looks like he's coming out with a ton of roaches at this point. He's got the missile attack level 1 about to finish. Groove Spines could finish too, unless Time gets on his horse here and really tries to move out. But Time placing down multiple pylons. He really wants this attack to be successful. Moving out with now 16 Zealots, 3 Void Rays, and that Phoenix who could possibly pick up some Queens and or Hydras here. And the forces meeting up against Suppy here. Those Zealots doing huge amounts of damage against the Lings and the Hydras. Drones being pulled as well. The Void Rays trying to target down those Queens. The Roaches are streaming out, trying to hold this ramp for Suppy. The Queens and the Roaches in hold position on that ramp, doing the best that they can. The Void Rays just doing massive amounts of damage, trying to focus down the Hydras as they do pop out. One Void Ray does go down, a second Void Ray does go down as well. And the Zealots doing their best against these drones, against the Spore Crawlers, and Suppy might actually be able to hold here.
Yeah, it looks like Suppy will be able to hold. All of those Zealots were unable to find their target when trying to swarm in. All the Spore Crawlers are gone, and there were still a couple Queens left. And as long as more Void Rays are trained up, that is going to be a problem, as the Phoenix now needs to get the heck out of dodge, realizing that he wasn't able to Graviton Beam any Queens and perhaps save any of those Void Rays.
Yeah, full energy on that Phoenix, so just a little bit of micro there could have helped tremendously for time, but he has done a bit of a unit switch. He's now coming with some Stalkers, focusing down that Spore Crawl, or the Creep Tumor, as it does try to spread creep there. So the Stalker is going to be good against those Roaches, doing bonus damage against armor, and Roach Speed has been completed though, so the Stalkers won't be able to kite those Roaches. And if we check the, once again, the income station, it is 39 to 38, so taking out quite a few drones there in that attack, even though it wasn't wholly successful.
Yeah, a scouting Phoenix once again taken down, so I would have liked to see that Phoenix do a little bit more damage, perhaps to get a little bit more Graviton Beams in there. We are getting Stalker, Blink, and also another Void Ray coming into the battle once more, and I think Time is just trying to use Zealot, Stalkers, and Void Rays, just continue to push forward, and hopefully just make Suppy over drone a little bit, and then try to take the win that way, as no one's really establishing another expansion yet.
Yeah, Time continuing to deny these Creep Tumors, might be pushing in once again. He's got 14 Zealots, 11 Stalkers, and 2 Void Rays. Once again, going to be showing some aggression here. Suppy's got a nice mix of Zerglings, Roaches, and a few Hydras in there. Just one Hydra, actually, so if this Void Ray is going to be able to take that down, and now more Hydras popping out for Suppy as we see the action start.
Yeah, so Roach is battling out. Zealots having a little bit of difficulty trying to find their target there, getting stuck behind there. The Queens are getting taken down. Roach is battling it out. The Void Rays just playing from the backfield, doing a great job. The Hydras need to focus down the Void Ray as the Stalkers are blinking, and that was nicely done, making sure to keep all of those lower hit point Stalkers in the backfield alive. There is still one Void Ray. The Void Ray needs to finish off the node, unable to finish off the Queen and the Hydralist. Stalkers and Zealots, both sides battling it out. Zealots once again doing a nice push here. The Stalkers perhaps could try to blink in and blink out, so a nice defensive blink as the one Stalker may get picked apart there. Zealots need to re-engage once more, and Time just trying to put as much pressure as possible.
Yeah, once again, his attack was thwarted by Suppy, so Suppy doing a nice job of defending here, but again, he lost a ton of drones in that attack, down to 28 drones. Overall in this game, Time has killed 34 workers for Suppy, so Suppy has taken damage and now might be trying some sort of counter, at least wants to clean up these proxy pylons.
Yeah, so one proxy pylon will go down. I don't know if he knows about that high ground proxy pylon, though. He does not. Even though there is, what is that, creep there, there is no creep tumor to actually offer sight. And Time will be able to warp in a Zealot or two if he wants to get in some additional scouting halfway across the field. You can see the players now transitioning, or at least Time transitioning, into a third base on this high ground location. Suppy does see this, and you'll know that he has to respond rather quickly with a hatchery of his own.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether he's actually going to be able to defend that third. He doesn't have good creep spread, and if Time is able to get some sort of flank here on that third, as he is sending down a probe, he will see the hatchery started. But again, Suppy does not want to go down a base to a Protoss player. Off 3 bases, Protoss can really do quite a bit, though Time is almost mined out in his main. Suppy basically completely mined out in his main, down to just 40 minerals left there. So running all these drones on just the one set of mineral patches, getting up a 3rd and 4th gas finally, but he has been able to do a nice job with gaslight units and Roaches and Hydras. Yeah,
we'll see how this game really transitioned. I haven't seen a game like this in quite some time, where both players are just so off their standard game that it kind of feels like you're walking into uncharted waters. They need to be very, very, very careful how they approach the next portion. If you try to macro up too much right now, your opponent is going to be able to come in with a much stronger army. If you don't macro up enough, then, you know, as the game goes longer and longer, and you do mine out of your mineral patches, as we mentioned earlier, we probably see Suppy almost over mining at his natural expansion. Things are just going to hurt him more and more.
Yeah, Suppy adding a round of drones here, finally up to 44 harvesters compared to the 45 of Time. So both players want to continue to establish their economies now that they're on this third base. And I wonder what Time's going to be teching into. He's adding some sentries, so I think that's a smart move against those Hydras and Roaches. Really wants to box out those Roaches with good force fields, and the Guardian Shield helps so much against those Hydras. And this is what I'm talking about. Time choosing to try to do a little bit of a flank here and take down that third, and without creep spread between the natural and the third, the Hydra's going to have a very difficult time making it up there to defend.
Yeah, Hydralisk, if you do not know, move 50 or get a 50% movement bonus on creep. So it looks like the Hydralisks are already trying to get there. The creep is slowly being spread across already as a very large army of Stalkers, Sentries, Zealots, and Void Rays now making their way out. The Sentries are going to be the key part of this, just splitting the army. And now that Sentries are in the mix, it's going to be a very, very difficult battle. There you go. There's the force fields down. Roaches, Hydralisks unable to do anything at all. And Suppy invested 300 minerals for essentially no return.
Yeah, that hash rate going down so fast. A lot of firepower there coming from those one upgraded Stalkers and the 2 Void Rays that are getting a chance to charge up. So Time doing a great job taking down the third of Suppy. It's going right back up, but he was able to stop mining there and basically put Suppy on one base. He's got 42 harvesters just on these 8 mineral patches, and Time is mining from his second and his third. He's got his 5th gas up. We do see some infestors coming out for Suppy, and I think that's a pretty good move. Going to the late game, you really need that fungal growth to help soften up some of the that Protoss death ball. The way the units move for Protoss, everything really gets grouped up and really suffers from that AoE and fungal growth.
Yeah, well, also it will stop the Stalkers from being able to blink, but the real key question is how is Suppy going to deal with the Sentries of Time? The Sentries of Time were able to throw down a lot of force fields, and now once again just regather up a lot of energy. Level 2 weapons upgrade now coming online as well. I don't believe we even have the Carapace upgrades coming in from Suppy, so those Zealots are going to be able to start, I guess, 4-shotting those Hydralisks if they attack and are able to find their targets. And both players, or I believe now Time, just playing to his advantage, knowing that he has the economic lead, and just trying to pull back and build up a very strong Protoss army.
I do like the fact that Suppy has spread creep here all the way to Time's base, so he's basically shut down that that avenue of attack. So Time, to take down the third, he had to really skirt around the base, and that really opens him up to counters, especially now that creep has been spread there. Getting some Zerglings and quick Roaches into that natural, you can wreak some havoc to the Protoss economy. And now Time, as he pushes out, is forced to engage on creep anywhere he goes, and we'll see how Suppy responds.
Yeah, at this time, I would just like to see Time. Yes, he is getting a robotics facility, so we should be seeing an observer as well to try to handle the rest of this creep. There are a decent amount of infestors, so a lot of fungal growth could be coming in and perhaps trying to split the rest of that army. The infestors are faster on creep as both sides are about to engage. There's the force fields now, and now where are those fungal growths? No fungal growths just right yet. Finally hitting across the board, and even with my upgraded video card, this battle is intense.
Yeah, those fungals going down on the sentries, so the sentries will quickly be taken down, just down to 2 sentries, no more force fields for Time. So now it's just those Blink Stalkers and the few Void Rays against all the Hydras here, and he's got more and more Infestors popping out. I'm not sure if they have the energy upgrade. They do, in fact, so he needs to get some quick fungals before those are focused down, and it looks like Time's going to be once again taking down this third. I really thought that Suppy was going to be able to take care of this attack, but he's got some streaming Roaches and Hydras doing their best. Time taking that third once again, maybe pulling back, cutting his losses, and taking the small victory, and once again going to be macroing up.
Yeah, I really like the maneuver by Time. Time had just moved in with a lot of the Zealots, warping in at this natural expansion down over here at the 6 o'clock position, and basically put down a lot of pressure onto that hatchery. The hatchery had a lot of Zealots already surrounding it, and now you can see a counter-attack force trying to come in. Suppy trying to make his way over. The gateways are currently all, none of them are on cooldown, but just not having enough resources to warp anything in just quite yet. We can see the Stalkers and Zealots will be making their way over, and now able to catch Suppy in a little bit of a pickle here. The Infestor finally getting off of fungal growth. Zealots now trying to engage, and the Stalker is just going to be able to pick apart some of those Roaches as they are fighting off of creep and with Blink.
Yeah, I think Suppy was trying to search for that army, try to take down the few Stalkers and Zealots he saw leave that third. But little did he know that there is a proxy pylon down in that southern base, so Time was able to continue to reinforce that attack. And Suppy giving the GG here, and I think it's warranted. 112 to 50 this is the supply on basically 1 mining base against now 3. Time was about to get up, and a very strong and interesting build order there from Time at the start.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most interesting games, or one of the most interesting openings. Gas first from Protoss into level 1 weapons upgrade. I perhaps would have liked to have seen Chrono Boost on the weapons upgrade first. The Zealot would have been able to two-shot those Zerglings while holding that choke point. That would have given him a lot more longevity in being able to hold that position. I know he was running off of one gate, but having two Zealots in that choke point where the second Zealot can't really do anything doesn't help you that much.